I don't even know what it is. Apple Vision Pro is a VR headset. It doesn't require a PC connected, I think.
Significant product
It's like Quest. It's like Oculus Quest, basically.
ever in history. For $3,500, you will now be able to own a Vision Pro headset.
Remember, this VR headset is cost $3,500. The best headset that you can get costs $1,000, and people look at that as very expensive. The pricing is nuts.
This device marks Apple's first significant new product since the introduction of the Apple Watch almost a decade ago. But Apple is trying to distinguish it from being known as augmented reality or virtual reality, and rather labeling the Pro a spatial computing device. But perhaps they should call it a new form of dystopian reality, because this product is one of the most heinous and terrifying pieces of technology that the world will become addicted to, and no one seems to be talking about it. Now, for those who don't know, the Vision Pro is a device designed to be worn on your face, and what sets it apart from previous creations is that the conventional methods of controlling the computer, such as a keyboard, mouse, or touchscreen, are replaced by a user interface that primarily relies on eye tracking and gestures. It will track every part of you, every little eye movement, every emotion that you feel, and when you interact with the world through this spatial computing device, you will start to live.
There is no way you see a homeboy walking around with this big block on their face in the street. It's not happening. Like there gotta be something going on if you do that. Holy shit.
Completely new world. It even monitors your hand gestures to understand your intentions and preferences. In short, this device is the best machine to study.
Track my emotions, hell yeah.
It knows how your body language works and feeds this data right back to the gurus at Apple, where this information is.
The thing is that Google Glasses at least is just a glass. Have you seen the Facebook glasses? I don't think those are bad. Like, those things sell, but if you're wearing a fat VR headset on your face, listen, I have 3 fat VR headsets. I know how it feels to wear a VR headset, and I definitely know how it feels to wear those Oculus and stuff like that. Those get warm. They are big. They are not that amazing I mean, they're not uncomfortable, but they're all right to put in your head. But if you're walking around with them in the streets, you have a big blob on your face. It's not comfortable or nice to walk with. And on top of it, you look stupid as hell. Nobody's gonna walk with this.
And utilized to make you more addicted to their products. And whilst there have been previous attempts at achieving similar goals with devices like the Google Glasses or Meta's Quest Pro, none of them are mainstream at the moment. And none of this has been an entirely unified experience. In other words, Apple's new product is truly unique. And because it's Apple, it will be terrifying. We're about to cross the Rubicon, and when we do, there's no turning back. And to understand why, we need to revisit a dystopian novel from the early 90s. In many ways, Snow Crash, written by the sci-fi author Neil Stephenson, predicted a world in which the Vision Pro would reign supreme. In it, the characters retreat from the physical world by grabbing a pair of goggles, strapping them to their faces, and escaping into virtual realms. The narrative takes readers on an expansive, nightmarish adventure across a fragmented and divided United States, where the protagonist, aptly named Hero Protagonist, enters a world that up until that point never really existed. In this futuristic, oppressive setting, the government has lost control of society, instead relinquishing law enforcement duties and other responsibilities to private
I can see that, yeah.
And as society becomes increasingly engrossed in virtual reality,
I can see this in like a professional company has like 1 or 2 of these and uses them to do their training or stuff like that, but I don't see an average consumer ever using it.
Influential capitalists seek to dominate not only the media, but also the thoughts and perceptions of their audiences, solidifying their status as modern-day robber barons. And right now, we're seeing this. Companies like Apple, more powerful than nation-states, is developing its own universe that we will be living in. Just look at all of Apple's technology and how integrated it has become into our everyday life. iPhones are everywhere, AirPods are everywhere, and now with the Vision Pro, we will be taking one step forward, as the Vision Pro will likely be the first device that will usher in society's migration into the metaverse.
I mean, the AirPods are just AirPods, right? You listen to music and that phone is just a phone. I don't feel like it's any more deep than that. A lot of people use Android as well, or Samsung earbuds, or some random nonsense earbuds. I don't think it's that much more than that.
To popular belief, it's not just Zuckerberg's Meta working on the metaverse. Other huge mega companies are also actively working on this 3D virtual world.
Yeah, it's the new trend because they think there's money to be involved in it, but honestly, they're just gonna all lose money. They're not there yet with the what VR is. VR is such a niche. It's a niche type of product that a niche groups enjoy. I am those groups. I know them. A lot of people don't like it, or they will maybe get it but not use it that much. Overall, it's a market people want, that many of these big company feels like are untouched and seemingly think that there's a lot of profit in, but I think this is just a failure.
It has the potential to be one of the most profitable moves.
We're not there yet with technology.
And once one of these mega companies do achieve this, there will be trillions at play. So why are they creating this headset in the first place? Well, a better question to ask is why not create it? Well, the AR VR market is growing at a frightening
active shooter
pace. By the end of the decade, it's expected to be worth an eye-watering $248.16 billion. With the Vision Pro, Apple, one of the most powerful tech companies in the world, the Vision Pro is vital to Apple's success. Vision Pro, Apple, one of the most powerful tech.
I didn't know Apple's market cap was that close to Microsoft and higher than Google and Amazon. Wow, that's impressive. I knew Apple was big, but I didn't know it was actually that big. Interesting.
Tech companies in the world, the Vision Pro is vital to Apple's success. Apple's entire empire is built off innovation. If they don't innovate and get to the top of this market, they could very quickly lose out, just as Xerox did back in the 70s. And Apple is in a prime position to call all the shots here, to rule over a new digital empire. Sure, other products like the Vision Pro exist, Meta Quest Pro 2 and 3, Sony PlayStation's VR 2 and Microsoft's HoloLens, but they always focus primarily on gaming and entertainment, and they're nothing that groundbreaking. But the Vision Pro is an entirely different beast. It focuses on real life situations, taking real world scenarios and distorting them in never before seen ways. Apple's even considering—
Here's the reality. Everything you can do on the Visual Pro, you can do 5 times faster on the PC.
Using their newest product to help treat mental illnesses. And rather ironically, it could actually create a host of mental illnesses instead, but I'll get to this later.
Yeah. Using excessive amount of VR caused me to have migraines literally every like 4 to 6 times a month. Just FYI. Like overall, it can damage your eyes and make a lot of issues for you. Or like, so in the end of the day, I don't think it's worth it. Like there's more negative than positives of using a headset that is meant to make things easier.
15 years, Silicon Valley CEOs have told us their product is going to change the world as we know it. But how much longer can they keep up the hype? Because honestly, we're the only ones who suffer if they fail. Corporations either get bought out or bailed out, no matter how unhinged their CEOs are. Investors just get stuck with the bill. But companies like Masterworks let us make up some ground financially while avoiding the stock market roller coaster. They give you the chance to invest in an asset that's endured life-changing economic crashes. Blue chip art. The art Jay-Z's been rapping about for years. No, seriously, their Basquiat acquisition broke records.
Oh my
god. You can actually invest in art of this caliber.
No, my god, I know about this scam. I know exactly what this scam is. Holy shit. That was, I didn't realize this was an ad.
And they knew even less about
wow, good job, dude. Holy, that was smooth. Don't buy this. This is a scam.
Access using the link in the
this is like the next version of NFT scam. Holy shit.
Microphones. Apple claims that the Vision Pro can update images.
Good job. How so? You're buying like a percent of a picture.
Placing the device on one's head, users will be able to view all their applications showcased on the screen. These apps can be accessed through various methods such as advanced eye tracking, voice commands, and simple finger gestures like tapping, double tapping, pinching, and holding. Zooming in and out and rotating.
I was just impressed of how smooth that ad was.
You're provided with a notification that someone's
NFTs with extra steps, basically.
Experience is amplified by both exterior and interior cameras. For the virtual reality aspect, the cameras are disabled, isolating the user from their surroundings and allowing them to solely perceive what is displayed on the screen. Apple Vision Pro users have the ability to scan their facial features and create highly realistic digital avatars of themselves when utilizing different video chat platforms such as FaceTime, Zoom, Google Meet, and Discord. These digital personas will be our representations in this brave new world. One user who tested the Vision Pro himself described how his body reacted to situations and his mind responded to the cacophony of sights, sounds, and sensory simulation. In one demo, he said he got to pet a frickin' dinosaur. Not a beast that looks like a 3D model set against an illustrated background, but a realistic looking dinosaur that sniffed my hand and let me pet it. It's pretty clear that we have never seen anything like this before. We simply can't compute the impact that the Vision Pro will have.
Dude, there are people, I mean, yeah, I don't doubt that what he saw was crazy, but I don't think he's been in VR before. Like, let's be real, and he's probably over-exaggerating a lot. There are people that have this thing in their brain that when they are in VR, so here, So this is the most common thing, and I have this as well. Not as strong as many other, but there's something called phantom sense while being in VR, that you can feel the touch of other people. So whenever somebody touches you in VR, they're not touching you in real life, but you can feel it because you're in VR, and something in your brain kind of stimulates the fact that there are somebody trying to touch you. But I have met people that have something called phantom smell and phantom taste. So there are some people that can smell what people smell like, and it always sounds so dumb. They smell like a small fragmented smell of some people, which is always very weird. And then I've seen someone that keeps on licking random people and random things, and they can taste what it tastes like, but in reality, they're just licking air. So, I mean, some people, what I'm trying to get to is that some people react to VR a completely different way than the average user will. If you are a normal human, try VR and you see that dinosaur, you're not gonna think, oh my god, it's a real dinosaur. You're gonna see a 3D object that looks just pretty basic
on society, and that's why Apple is making a concerted effort to distinguish the headset from other available devices, advising developers to label the Pro a spatial computing device and not an entertainment device. And one key part of how we interact with this device
data
will be through the
related
adoption
to
of
it? Oh my
avatars.
god.
But with the Vision Pro, it will be different. You see, typically avatars come in varieties, where you can take the form of anything, as we see with things like the Metaverse.
Big hentai
first,
girl.
This seems harmless. When you see
Massive,
the old version of Metaverse's graphics,
male
these
anime
avatars
dude.
look like a joke. But the speed at which they are now evolving in complexity should worry us all. This was highlighted during the Lex Fridman podcast with Zuckerberg, where Zuckerberg's avatar started to become photorealistic. This is so great. With avatars now becoming more lifelike, with intricate facial expressions supported by a wide range of available emotes.
This is creepy.
And with the Vision Pro, it's on a whole other level. But this could be problematic, as research is showing that the way individuals present themselves in virtual worlds can have an impact on their behavior towards others in the real world. In fact, just 5 minutes of exposure to virtual environments as either a hero or villain can lead people to either reward or punish anonymous strangers. In one study, when tasked with giving food to other participants, it was observed that participants who assumed the role of Voldemort poured almost twice the amount of spicy chili sauce than those who hadn't assumed the role of Voldemort. They assumed the role of evil, and this virtual representation translated into real-world actions. What happens when people spend hours, maybe even days or weeks, immersed in these virtual worlds? And it is important to remember.
I mean, what happens? You don't even need to question it. Just go and ask any VR chat player. They spend people literally sit there all the time in VR. They sleep and they spend all their time in VR. There are people that literally live in VR. You could just ask them.
That the Vision Pro specializes in the creation of digital personas, far more realistic than flimsy looking avatars with the cartoonish features. If avatars are mildly problematic, digital personas, that is incredibly accurate representations of the user, could prove to be catastrophic, leaving users, specifically users' brains, unable to differentiate between a human and a digitalized version of one.
The problem with using Zuckerberg as an example in this is that Zuckerberg looks like an alien and he doesn't look real to begin with. So whenever you have this weird 3D model that looks nearly exactly like him, that uncanny valley feeling of him, it's just already there from the beginning.
Perhaps even a bigger concern here is that as technology evolves, avatar representations will evolve so
He's a reptilian in the end of the day, you know?
Where the significant amount of sensitive information regarding users' facial features will go, and how much will be necessary.
Of course it's gonna be real.
How much biometric data, eye scans, voice recordings, and even fingerprints will be needed, and who will use this information? You see, the more biometric data that companies will have on you, the more they can actually manipulate your own psychology and biology, molding your behavior, preferences, and future decisions. And with the rapid evolution of avatars comes the rapid evolutions of deepfakes. Currently, synthetic videos or audio recordings created through deepfakes can easily be mistaken for genuine recordings of the individuals they portray. Just look at those Joe Rogan TikToks going around, where they promote these garbage products through deepfake Joe Rogan clips.
Well, look, that Alpha Grind product that's all over TikTok, if you go to Amazon and you type in libido booster for men,
and this is just the basic version of it. We have no idea what it's going to look like several years down the line in the Vision Pro world. I'm talking about hyper-realistic avatars with human-like expressions and gestures, with the potential to establish trust with you, being completely designed to deceive you, used to just influence your opinion or buy more products. For instance, imagine an advertisement where hyper-realistic avatars of your friends express glowing admiration for a product, or imagine an avatar of your teenage crush telling you how great you would look in a new clothing line. Even more concerning, hyper-realistic avatars of familiar individuals could be exploited for social engineering. take this big pharma endorsed drug, don't eat that, eat this, vote for this party, etc. Which brings us back to the Vision Pro and the dystopian web that it spins. Last year on X, Apple's head honcho Tim Cook tweeted, "Welcome to the era of spatial computing with the Apple Vision Pro. You've never seen anything like this before." And he's right, we really haven't. But for everyone who values face-to-face interactions, especially in this era of remote working, where genuine human connections seem to be disappearing, we should all be having concerns about the Vision Pro, particularly the augmented reality aspect. And whilst this is amazing technology, we have no idea how AI will change our culture and society. You see, unlike VR, which is completely virtual, AR is not. It simply augments your real-world environment. In VR, users are very much controlled by the system. But with AR, users can directly affect their presence in the real world, which allows you to stay in augmented reality for hours at a time, if not days. And there's a reason Apple's doing this, because of course it provides a much better experience. In fact, this is going to change the entire dynamic of computing and work. But the augmented reality aspect does create a paradox, as it's designed to give you access to the greater real world, where you can call people and see them right there in front of you at any time of the day without doing anything. You can be on a plane, and you can be living in another world, also while looking around you and talking to your friends. It removes you from the real world, but seems to give you greater access to the real world. At least you seem to be in the real world, but a real world on steroids, because you are presented with a detailed depiction of your surroundings, not your real surroundings, enhanced by sophisticated interactive software. And Apple's proposed solution for maintaining in-person social interactions while using the device is EyeSight, which scans your eyes and facial features during the initial setup of the Vision Pro, and then utilizes this data to construct a 3D model of your face that's displayed on the external screen. So those who look at you will see a representation of your eyes, although it is entirely artificial. And you see, eyes are often considered the windows to the soul, and regardless of how advanced the artificial model may be, it will never replace the authenticity of a real-life gaze. You will never actually be able to tell someone's intentions. You can never fall in love properly if you live in the augmented reality world. By wearing a computer on one's face, the eyes dull, and so too does your life, perhaps by design.
I'm gonna be honest, people fall in love with anything. I mean, you can get most basic human like feelings even in VR. Like, yeah, it's a dystopian future that people don't really want, but I'm gonna be honest with you, human adapt, and you do things that they're comfortable with. And if they are comfortable with sitting in VR and just hang out with people, yeah, that's what they do. If they meet someone and they feel a connection in VR with someone they've never seen in real life, but that's just how it is. In the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, just consider a scenario where you're wearing this headset, engaged in a conversation with someone, and then you receive a notification. Currently, you can simply disregard the notification and put your phone away. However, complications arise when the physical reality transforms into a virtual reflection.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Intrusive alerts.
If the VR world becomes an ad, I remember whenever they showed like, whenever I saw like videos of people putting ads in the sky, I was thinking that this is nuts. This is too far. That should not be allowed. If you're like in VR and you get forced ads, that sounds completely awful as well.
And the device happens to be attached to your face, you can never truly be present, and neither can the people you're talking to. Everyone's constantly distracted in an endless loop of dopamine, lacking any real human connection or any real soul to one another, isolating you from the real world, not really connecting you to it, just connecting you to a false version of it, expediting our transition into a metaverse controlled by big tech elites, one that as the world adopts to the Vision Pro will become harder and harder to leave. So that begs the question, what will this even do to our brains? Over the course of approximately 7 million years, the size of the human brain has increased threefold, with the majority of this expansion taking place within the last 2 million years. The expansion has been facilitated by better nutrition and better medicine, but it's also been facilitated by intimate human connections. The Vision Pro will likely destroy these human connections largely by destroying our brains. The Vision Pro is so powerful that it can quite literally rewire the human brain. Spend enough time in augmented and virtual realities, and you may emerge a totally different person, a puppet on a virtual string, a shadow of your previous self, a shell of a human craving to put the headset back on. Smartphones and other digital devices have already prompted us to think in a distinctly different manner and experience various emotions very differently from the past. Technology is altering our memory, our consciousness, our concentration, our reward mechanisms and sleep patterns. So what happens when that technology is on your face, directly covering the aforementioned eyes into the soul? After all, the extensive utilization of technology, particularly smartphones and social media, has had a profound influence on the human attention span and is leading us to be more socially isolated and mentally unwell. And by erecting obstacles that separate us from one another, technology is already destroying our ability to empathize. Compared to the Vision Pro, smartphones and other popular digital devices look quaint. Remember,
I actually agree on this point. If you look at the new generation or a lot of people online, they don't have empathy at all. They don't have no understanding. People are wild on the internet. They don't give a shit about anything. Sometimes, like most times, people will behave a different way they do online than they do like in real life. If they said some things they can say easily online, they can never say to someone's face directly. But the problem is that now, like, people don't even understand empathy like at all, as they are growing up with all this technology and iPads and all of these other things that are just on their face all the time. But they don't socialize enough.
Current tech is already shrinking our grey matter, the part of the brain that allows us to control movement, memory, and emotions. The Vision Pro will likely accelerate this shrinking process. Already, half the population of the US is addicted to their phones, probably way more than this. Everyone's addicted to video games, everyone's addicted to their phone. It's become our second brain. We spend all hours of the day on it, and if not our phones, our laptops. Millions are also addicted to video games around the world, mostly lonely young men, so consumed by gaming because they can't experience the same joys they get from games as in the real world. But when you put a computer, one of the most advanced computers in the world, with mind-blowing augmented reality features, and you have a recipe for huge change in society. As soon as the Vision Pro ships in February, our entire days will likely be consumed by augmented and virtual priorities, orchestrated by Apple and subsequently other companies like Meta, where all of our waking hours will be spent in an alternate reality constructed by big tech companies, companies that are known to censor, silence, and use slave labor against the population, where the same psychological tactics that currently keep us glued to our smartphones will be amplified to an unprecedented level. Not just the technology itself, but also the applications. All the small little games, the TikToks, and whatever else comes around the corner will be designed so addictively that it will be impossible to escape. It's a terrifying prospect because the Vision Pro is truly remarkable. It will definitely provide you with an extraordinary, utterly absorbing experience, ensuring that you will never be bored again. You could stare at your wall all day long, but as long as you have the Vision Pro, you could be living in a virtual paradise. Whilst you're there in the grey, feeling depressed, feeling down, isolated from everyone, feeling numb, you can just put on the headset and all of that slowly fades away. And with that, so too does our imagination and creativity. After all, it's during these moments of boredom and pain that ignites human imagination and ambition. But if you're constantly engrossed in the captivating virtual worlds readily available to you, there will be no room left for creativity and individual thought. And to understand this future, it really helps to go back to 2016, when Keiichi Matsuda unveiled a disturbing short film envisioning a sci-fi-like landscape, where Vision Pro-like devices are the norm. Aptly titled Hyperreality, Matsuda's film delves into a world where the boundaries between digital media and the physical realm have seamlessly merged, showcasing an extraordinary concept of augmented reality taken to its utmost extent, where interactive virtual interfaces permeate the urban surroundings.
I've not seen this before.
Identities are shaped and communicated through digital platforms. This disturbing creation, according to Matsuda, was intended to display a new vision of the future, where physical and virtual realities have merged, and the city is saturated in media. Which does sound eerily similar to what Tim Cook's been saying. The whole narrative of the movie centers around Juliana Restrepo, a 42-year-old resident of Medellin, Colombia, who finds herself disenchanted with her life in the city, and as she navigates through the bustling streets, her surroundings are inundated with games, Google alerts, and an array of other functionalities, accompanied by intrusive advertisements that constantly interrupt her journey. But she wasn't wearing a Vision Pro. However, you would be forgiven for thinking otherwise. Especially as the Vision Pro is now being released, this stuff's no longer sci-fi fiction, it's becoming reality, and no one seems to say anything about it. And after releasing the film, Matsuda stated, the convergence of our physical and virtual realities is steadily increasing, Technologies like VR, augmented reality, wearables, and the Internet of Things are indicating a future where technology will encompass every facet of our lives. 8 years on, and his words do seem profoundly prophetic. And the title of the movie was inspired by the work of Jean Baudrillard, a French philosopher who introduced the concept of hyperreality, which describes the almost impossible task of distinguishing between reality and its representations. This inability to distinguish between the real and unreal creates a profound sense of confusion, and his whole concept of hyperreality is intimately connected to his notion of simulacrum, which he defines as a phenomenon that substitutes reality with its depictions. He argued that the modern world is a simulacrum where genuine reality has been supplanted by deceptive images to such an extent that distinguishing between what is real and what is not becomes impossible. In his book Simulations, he presents the 4 stages of humanity's descent into the unreal. First, there is truth, an objective reality that is accurately represented and easily identifiable. 2. Reality exists, but its representation is distorted. 3. Reality is bastardized, superseded by a proliferation of fake representations. And 4. Reality as an objective concept is dead. There is no relationship whatsoever between accurate, faithful representations and manufactured ones. And right now, we are either living in stage 2 or 3. But with the Vision Pro coming out now, it seems like we're about to enter stage 4, where reality doesn't really exist, just augmented and virtual forms of it.
Interesting. I mean, I think he's stretching it a little bit, but I get what he's going on to. I think honestly, VR isn't really new. I feel like we've had it for so many years now that it's not really that special. But I get that the difference is that Apple sort of introduces VR to a more normie base. And if they're trying to get real life tasks to be handled by a VR headset, I can understand what the worries are. But in reality, using that headset is not efficient and it's not great. It's not good for you. It's probably not even fun. And most things you can do probably on your phone or PC way better. There's a reason why people use their phone, because it's efficient, it's clean, it's convenient. But a VR headset on your face while going do grocery shopping is stupid, looks silly, and is not convenient or quick at all. So there's no reason for that. I mean, we're gonna see it soon. They're probably gonna make a few millions on it because stupid people are gonna buy it. Tech people are gonna test it. But I don't think this is gonna be a big deal. I think this is gonna flop like real quick. Apple will make it so that there are more apps that uses VR at least, making it a little more viable. Yeah, Apple will have their workout plans and some health nonsense related to it, and that's pretty much it. And some other things, some apps and functioning with it. That's what I assume they're gonna do. But yeah, cool. It's not really gonna be necessary or completely needed.